So to start us off, the improvement planning work aspect of Shiroko Exchange really is to, we were working bilaterally with each of the regions to support them in designing improvement plans that are responsive to their local needs and contexts. And to do that, we leveraged the Shiroko Exchange tools, which you will see on the left-hand side here, which highlights the 12 different dimensions that we've been speaking of throughout the morning sessions. And yes, so we were leveraging the 12 different dimensions where each of the regions had conducted maturity assessments on, assessing their regional integrated care systems to see in which of the dimensions they performed well on and in which dimensions they needed to improve upon. And with working with their local stakeholders to come to a consensus on what are some of their priorities that they wanted to focus on within their regions. And following from that, we heard a lot from our partners in the session previously on the knowledge transfer activities that was conducted. So leveraging the strengths and weaknesses in each of the regions. Different regions were paired up to share their experiences and transfer a lot of the knowledge that was gained. And so that leads us to the improvement planning aspect, which I will be sharing. And really what we have done was we use a tool of the logic model and bilaterally work with each of the regions to specify their goals and identify the different activities and how they were to achieve their goals based on some of the findings that we've had, and really building on all of the work that the regions have done throughout the Shiroko Exchange process. So this is just an overview of the different objectives and approaches that we took to this work package. The first objective really was for us to map the current evidence and existing assets in this quality improvement space. So what we've done was we reviewed a lot of the international evidence on quality improvement and consolidated that with a lot of the regional knowledge and expertise on what is currently being done within the regions in terms of the improvement activities and the different organizational resources and political structures that are in place to support quality improvement. And the second objective for this work package is to analyze the outcomes of Shiroko Exchange from the improvement plan co-design session. And this work was done collaboratively with each of the regional partners. And the last objective really was to support each of the regions and effective stakeholder engagement throughout the entire process. You will hear a little bit more about the process that we took in supporting the regions in engaging a wider group of stakeholders in the logic model process that we've taken. And just to quickly go over the conceptual model, so our activities, I'm just going to run through these. Our activities really focus on really 4 buckets of work that led to certain partner level outcomes. And to go over each of these, the first activities that we focus on is the needs assessment. So I briefly touched on this earlier, where we really looked at the regional resources and the different structures that are in place to support and improvement activities. The second bucket of activities that we have done was really the relationship building part. So within this project, we really invested a lot of time in building bilateral relations with each of the regions to support them in the logic model process, really working with them through the nitty-gritty details of what each of the regions are working on, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and really build on that those contexts. The third part is the capacity building aspect. To really, we held workshops with each of the regions to build their capacity and support them in stakeholder engagement, to be able to really conduct this work and build their capacity to continue this work after the duration of this consortium, hopefully, as their improvement efforts within integrated care system further develops. And the last aspect is, I think I've already gone over that, but logic models that we have worked on. So in terms of the process, the specific process that we've taken, we've had with each of the regions 3 separate calls to really gain a shared understanding of why we're here and how we're going to support them in the improvement process. So we took a 3-step approach. The first step with each of the regions to conduct an introductory call to make sure that everyone's on the same page and have a common understanding of what the improvement goal is for that specific region, to identify what the target population is and what the time horizon is in terms of when they want to achieve their improvement goals. And the second part is to have what we call the first logic model meeting, and that really was to get together a smaller group of leadership to derive a bare bones logic model and identify like the high level components within the logic model, so activities, outcomes, and longer term goals. And then after we have a bare bones logic model, we worked with each of the regions to invite a wider group of stakeholders to invite them and to really expand on those logic model to see if there were finer details that were missing and other components that could be added upon. We've heard earlier from Iveta around the really wide-ranging stakeholders that were engaged in Slovakia, for example. And the last part is finalizing the logic model on our end in terms of providing regions feedback in terms of what could be missing and how we could collaborate further on driving this initiative beyond this project. So in terms of the logic models and the work that we've done with the regions, our primary stakeholders were really the regional partners themselves, and were our main focus, and the secondary stakeholders were all of the other relevant actors involved in the integrated care systems locally that were invited to engage in the process. And in terms of the logic models themselves, we conducted a lot of gap analysis to identify missing parts, fed that back to regions to have this cohesive experience. And with the end product, what we did was we had a thematic analysis to look at what are some of the overarching goals that converged from each of the regions, which I will be sharing next. So, on the table here, you can see sort of the improvement focus from each of the 9 different regions that we worked with. And you can see there's a wide-ranging focus for each of the regions that were identified from the 12 different dimensions from the Shiroko exchange model. And they can overall be summarized into 3 different themes, the first being patient-centeredness. So we see a lot of citizen empowerment in Basque, Poland, and Scotland, and goal-oriented care in Flanders. We also see a lot of regions focusing on process optimization, so looking at the population approach, having multi-morbidity models in Lithuania, and different types of digital infrastructure and process coordination in Germany. And the last theme is this resource development piece. So in Puglia, we looked a lot into funds development, and Veremycin and Kreis looked at digital infrastructure in Slovakia and capacity building. So, and for each of the regions, there really was a wide range of activities that the regions had participated in or implemented in order to reach their goals. I won't go into detail. This is just to show the diversity of activities. And to conclude, we had asked our regions how the logic models actually contributed towards the improvement improvement in the integrated care systems regionally. And at the beginning, we've kind of highlighted a couple different benefits of using a logic model, which really is to engage the stakeholders so that there's a common understanding that creates a starting point to have discussions upon. And what we heard from the regions is that well, there's a variety, and you'll hear from each of them very soon. But from Lithuania, we've heard that the logic model brings a structured and clear plan on how to improve regional integrated care work. From Lithuania, we heard that this tool really helped them to identify whether if their actions that they're currently taking leads to the intended outcomes, and really to identify some of the key stakeholders that are involved. And lastly, from Basque, we've heard that this tool was able to help them express the overall project into a single page, which could be easily used and shared with different stakeholders as a communication tool. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you, everyone. And of course, I'd like to thank all of the regional partners in the consortium who really put a substantial effort into this work package.